I have a 6-year-old son currently, and his father, who we never married, but we had a relationship with. After a few years, well, last year, he pursued paternity case because wanted a 50-50 time sharing plan. We both saw our son, his name is Alphonse, every day. He would pick up Alfie at my house and then take him to his mom's house. His mother really wanted to take care of Alfie being the firstborn. And I said, okay, fine. But she really, really wanted to. So that was the arrangement that we had. The one thing I told him was, listen, I'm not asking for money or anything like that. But I just asked, when you have Alfie with you, don't bring any women in the house because he's little, and that's a maternal thing. I have to honor my feelings. I'm a mom. The moment you turn around, I don't know what they're going to do to him. Also, I wanted him to have more of a deeper connection with Alfie, because since we were not together physically all the time, we were not in a relationship. That means that Alfie wasn't going to see us both at the same time. About 5 months after we broke up, I found out that he picked up my son without telling me that he was going to take him back to his house. It ended up that he had a lady. For me, emotionally, it really affected me because it was the one thing that I said, don't do it. But then it came to a point that he started in a relationship, and I didn't know about it, but I started putting two and two together. He would start dropping off Alfie consistently every Saturday, 11:30, 12 o'clock, and I'm talking about a 3-year-old. And if you don't drop him off early, I'm going to be waiting for him. And initially when he started that relationship, he's like, oh no, she doesn't mind. That's okay if you call me, remind me. But I was like, no, I don't have to do that. But the thing is, it was a double-edged sword, Julian, because if I wouldn't call him, he will use that as an excuse to keep Alfie with him. And so it really had me tense for the last 3 years. So eventually we had a bigger argument because of that. And that's when he pursued the paternity case. Things started to unravel for me, and eventually leading me to your law firm when I started getting the letters about the ads from the different attorneys about the case. And of course, I wasn't prepared and I didn't know what to do or who to talk to. Even though it was very emotional time for me, I'm also a very logical person. I was looking for a group that would help me, but also whatever message I had to receive from the attorney, from the law group, I wanted the delivery to be in a way that I could accept it. I had to talk to my boss that same day because I was really panicking about the whole 20 days. Do you know of anybody? I don't know of anybody, but let me check. She went through her group and she saw Vanessa Vasquez, highly recommended. Try calling this law firm, and right away they scheduled an appointment for me for the following day. The coordinator was very nice, and it was the communication style that I needed from the very beginning. Everything was laid out to me in the in-person interview. I've heard that the firm is pricier than others, but I also think that it is based on perspective, because the way that the financial was handled and the monthly invoicing and the billing of everything that was getting accounted for, I thought it was fair. So I had Ashley, and I think she was efficient. She was friendly. And I told her, my emotional story. And she took that and she's like, okay, this is what we can do. She would make things that seemed to me very complicated. She would say, she would simplify it. And she would tell me, when we get there, it's step by step, we're going to get there. The service overall, I thought it was efficient. I thought it was exactly what I needed for the case. It gave me a lot of perspective. She was very honest, which I needed, because sometimes I would tell Ashley, but Ashley, what if I do this? And she would reel me back in and she's like, well, Delhi, if you do this, the judge is going to say this. At the end, we settled for a 50-50 time sharing plan with no child support. And the reason being is wanted that to begin with. And I learned more about the rules of time sharing because I wanted more time with Alfie, and Ashley's like, no. So the thing is that on my end, I had to also look at it that I could also be the one paying child support, because I do make more than he does. So I really had to settle for that. But at the same time, as a mom, I didn't want to end up with a plan a time sharing plan that was like, okay, 1 week the dad and 1 week me, because he's still a little kid. For us, for me, he still needs to see, I still need to see him. I still need to see him grow. We had a little bit of a hiccup during the mediation. And so I pushed back and I wanted 2-2-3 alternating plan, which is actually, looking back at my notes, that's the plan that Ashley had offered me. And so had Ashley not pushed back, I would have never gotten that plan. One of the outcomes that I really want from this process, I want to have an improved communication with the dad, whether it's by the phone or whether it's by the text. I just don't want this passive aggressiveness anymore, because if I don't say anything now, it's going to carry on past this case, and this is never going to change. And I'm always going to feel like I'm stressed, the one that has to try to fix things. Would you be okay with doing like a gradual transition, like maybe 1 week, 1 day, and then the following week, 2 days, and then, until you get to maybe 3 days. And we leave it at that before we get to 50-50. Definitely was not happy with the changes. It came to a point where he told me that his dad was picking him up one day, and he's like, I don't want to go with that. He doesn't like me. So I was like, oh my God. And that's when I faced his dad, and I said, listen, you got to change however you're acting. I'm not going to do it for you, but you got to change for him if you want this to work. So definitely that approach helped a lot, because by the end of the closure, we had achieved better or improved communication style, a more respectful communication style. I tried to be as fair